How do you build the kind of discipline that scares people? Most people think that it comes down to pain, pride, upbringing, or training, but I'm going to show you a better way. I'm going to show you what's called the dopamine spring. So this is the dopamine spring. I'm going to crack open a white monstrosity just for this one. So imagine that you have this car, this old school toy, which has this wind up key. You wind up the car, you set it on the ground, and it starts moving. So tell me which one of the cars will travel faster? The one with a wound up spring full of energy, or the one which has a spring which is already extended, already expended? Well, obviously, the car which has a wound up spring full of energy is the one which is going to go faster. It's also the one which is going to go further. You can think of your dopamine systems, your reward systems in exactly that same way. When you wake up in the morning, that spring is compressed, it's ready to go. But you get to decide on what activities you spend that energy on. And yes, this is complete bro science, but bro science is just science that's 10 years too early. This is the dopamine slope. It's one of the most interesting and useful things I can teach you today. The way it works is there's some activities which are dopamine loading. They compress the spring and give you the energy. There's also some activities which are dopamine expending. They're dopamine depleting. They extend the spring and waste your energy. Let me give you a riddle to solve. What is the most boring activity that you can possibly do? What is the least stimulating activity that you can possibly do? In other words, what is the most dopamine loading activity that you can do? Actually, it's sleep. Think about it. For 8 hours straight, you're literally doing nothing, consuming no stimulation whatsoever. It's just it doesn't feel boring because you're literally asleep. So this is why sleep loads dopamine, because it's literally the most boring activity that you can possibly do. So I'm going to put sleep up top as the most dopamine loading, least stimulating activity. On the far extreme of this is something like pornography use, highly overstimulating, right? It literally hijacks our biological circuits and our need to reproduce, which is one of the highest fundamental biological needs for a human being or any living species, and perverts it against us. And for that reason, something like pornography would actually be one of the most stimulating activities, one of the most depleting activities that we can possibly do. Everything else falls within a spectrum within this. So something like YouTube Shorts or TikTok Shorts would fall here. Something like video games, I think, will fall somewhere here. For me, exercise will fall here. Play would fall here. And the work itself, which is actually the topic of this video, will fit somewhere over here. The big rule here is that it's always easy to move downhill than it is to climb uphill. Let me make this real for you. How many times have you woken up in the morning, you're fully dopamine loaded, ready to go, but one of the first things you do is go all the way and watch some shorts on your phone? Well, the thing is, once you do this, it's going to be an uphill battle, quite literally, to go and work because you're going against the grain, you're going against the slope of dopamine. Instead, what you could have done is just immediately gone to work. So the question becomes, how do you load dopamine? And the answer is by doing boring stuff. The stuff which is not stimulating at all. The less stimulating an activity is, the more dopamine it's going to load. But the most boring activity that I can think of is actually just staring at a wall. So that is the first actionable step for this video, is literally staring at the wall. It's actually one of the first things I do in the morning. Because when you have a staring contest with the wall, you win every time. And it's not even the wall which I'm staring at, it's really the wall clock which I'm staring at. If you pay attention, you can actually see in real time the minute hand moving. So what I'll do every single morning is just watch the minute hand move for 10 minutes straight. This is the most boring and unstimulating activity that I can possibly think of. And for that reason, not only have I accumulated dopamine by sleeping, I've also compressed the spring further by staring at the wall. So when I try to work after this, it feels like going downhill. I'm just rolling the snowball downhill. It feels effortless. It feels fun. It feels engaging because compared to staring at the wall, any work is engaging. To the outside world, this will appear as discipline, but it's not discipline. In fact, it's pleasurable and easy and fun and engaging to do the work if the thing that you did right before that was even more boring and less stimulating. And for that reason, I will take the dopamine spring and put that as an easy S tier. Just wake up in the morning, just trust this, try this, see if this works for you, and I know that it will. And so let me grab this wall staring and drop that into S tier as well. In fact, I will say that wall staring has replaced meditation for me. And that's because meditation, it almost feels like friction to me compared to staring at the wall, because I have to pay attention to my breath and all this kind of stuff. But staring at the wall's there. I can just sit and stare. It's the easiest thing to do. And the best part of this is that you can have a notebook and a pen with you, so that when you have those ideas which are actually useful, you just write them down. Your day feels structured, organized, and you feel like you're an actual boss, that you're actually in control of your life and you're living every day to the fullest of your abilities. And for those reasons, I'm going to take meditation and put that as a B tier. It's not that meditation is bad. Clearly it's not. It's just that I've preferred to stare at the wall instead of meditating. And in general, in my videos, I'm going to share with you what I actually do, what my observable behaviors are, rather than what my ideal behavior looks like. Yeah, I would love to say that I meditate every day, but I don't. I stare at the wall every day, and that's why I'm going to put that as S tier and meditation as B tier. So I'm going to share what works. If this is what works, then this is what I'm going to share. And so let's go to the next item. Let's go to the grand champion, the grand master of productivity and discipline. And that's called saying no. Freaking Bugs Bunny over here, saying no. That is literally the attitude I want you to have. Specifically, I want to show you a technique of saying no in social settings while not appearing rude or abrasive to the friends and family that are around you. This is a technique which I discovered in college. Many times friends would come to my dorm room and just like chit chat, just talk, play games, whatever, right? And I need to sleep because I have classes in the morning. I need these people to leave my dorm room so I can sleep. And at the same time, I didn't feel like kicking them out because I would feel rude and it might destroy some relationships. So what I would do instead is I will take my phone and set an alarm. You set the alarm for 10 minutes, and when the alarm goes off, you go like, hey guys, my alarm is going off. That just reminded me of this important thing, and I need you guys to leave because of this alarm. So what you do is, instead of saying, I need you to leave because I need to sleep, because I need to go to classes in the morning, you say, it's the alarm, guys, it's the phone. And you put the entire blame on the phone. And of course, nobody can actually blame a phone, so the blame just dissipates. And you can use this in any situation. If you're in a social situation with friends or family and you need to leave because you have work to do, then just use this alarm. Just set an alarm and get out of there. Just use the alarm as an excuse. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be assessed by the work that you've done and the results that you have, more so than the friends that you carry with you. And as you do more work, your friend circle will shift anyway. It's just inevitable at this point. And this is the bonus. If you're on a date with a girl and you're not feeling it and you're not like she's not the right fit for you, then you can use an alarm to get out of there. And of course, at some point, your friend circle is going to be the kind of guys who totally understand you, who totally get it when you say, I gotta go, I gotta work, I have shit to do. You'll at some point get to a friend circle who's completely okay with that because they themselves are on their shit and they have priorities which they need to solve as well. I'm tired of pretending that productivity is uncool. I'm tired of pretending because our nations, no matter which country you're in, are built by men who are productive. They're built by men who are on their shit. They're built by men who showed up for work, did the work, and didn't quit until the work was done. And this is the thing, right? Like, why does all this matter? You and I are not so different. You and the guy down the street are not so different. We all want the same things. We all want to spend more time doing the things we want to do. We want to spend less time doing the things we don't want to do. We want to spend more time with people we like. We want to spend less time with people we don't like. We want to have security. We want to have some freedom. We want to be able to travel. We want to be able to put food on the plate. We want to retire our parents. We want to have good clothes, good cars, things like this. And finally, we want to leave some kind of impact on the world. So in other words, we all want the same thing. Our goals aren't special, but our results can be. The way we spend our hours today, especially if you're in your 20s or 30s, literally determine the clothes on your back, the car that you will drive. And yes, this is my dream car. It'll determine the kind of place that you can live in. It will determine the opportunities that you can afford your children, or if you will even have children in the first place, will be determined by the way you spend your days right now, literally starting today. It will determine what kind of funds you have if there's some kind of medical emergency. I hope that never happens to you. I hope that never happens to me, but it can, and it happens all the time. The kind of medical service you receive depends on the amount of money that you have. Let's be real, right? And that is determined by your productivity. That is why I'm tired and sick of acting as though the word productivity is bad, because it's not. It just means the ability to produce, which is one of the primary drivers for a man. How can that possibly be bad? And the final item is legacy. If you want to leave something which endures for a long time, well, guess what? That's going to take productivity. And not just this, right? If you have parents who you want to retire, well, what's that going to take? It's going to take productivity. And if you want to have a network of guys who you actually respect and have some kind of bond with, what's that going to take? That's going to take associating with productive men. And productive men will only associate with you if you yourself are productive. So let's get out of this bullshit that productivity is bad, because it's not. The fundamental drivers of man are to protect, to procreate, and to produce. It's literally one of the three most important things that you can do. So let us develop that and have the discipline to get what we want from life. Because at the end of the day, you will die. You'll end up in a grave. You'll end up as a bag of bones. In other words, it's going to cost you your life. And this is a cost that you cannot avoid. Everybody will die and pay this cost. The only question is, what can you get in return? And that is the real topic of this video. And for those reasons, I will put saying no as an absolute S tier. Because focus is not about saying yes to the things that you want to do, because that's easy. Focus is about saying no to all the things that you want to do but can't because they're not the main thing. And let me also carry the alarm method, to an S tier. And now let's go to the next item, which is this skull. What does this mean? Let's talk about self-imposed deadlines. I don't like these, to be honest. A lot of people will talk about Parkinson's law. They will talk about how the work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. In other words, if you give yourself a short time frame, a strict deadline, then the work will compress and you can get the work done in a short period of time. That's a theory anyway. They didn't work like this for me, and I'll be absolutely honest. Sometimes I'll say things like, I'll get this done by Wednesday at 9 p.m. Like, I'll be 100% sure that I'm going to hit this deadline. But when the actual deadline comes around, oh shit, I didn't factor in my bullshit. And it's going to have to be Thursday. And it's too easy to make excuses because no one's really holding you accountable. No one's going to know. So self-imposed deadlines have been kind of a weak thing for me. And the other cope is, I'll just do this later, no harm done. But the thing is, we all make choices. But in the end, our choices make us. And for those reasons, self-imposed deadlines, I'll put them as a D tier. They never really did anything for me other than making me feel guilty. So inverse Parkinson's law, I'll say D tier, same concept as the self-imposed deadlines. And now let's go to this one, having an accountability partner. Again, this is one of those things which sound good in theory, but it hasn't really panned out. So me and my friend will say that we'll keep each other accountable. But the thing is, your consistency will be capped by your friend's consistency. And a lot of people will say, me and my friend will push each other to greater heights. But the reality is, you are not your friend's priority. He has his own shit to track. It's not his job to check in on you and to check in on your progress. And a lot of times having your friend as an accountability partner makes the friendship feel like work because each of you is not really in charge of holding each other in track. And both of you is going to disappoint each other at some point, and before you know it, the friendship itself doesn't feel the same. So for those reasons, I will say that having a friend as an accountability partner is actually D tier. I don't think it works that well. Next item on this list, having a weekly check-in. What did you get done this week? So many years ago, when I was in college, I used to have this ritual. I had this idea that at the end of the week, every single week, I will write down what my goals are for the next week. I think it would have been very powerful, but I just never did it consistently enough. I would do it on the weeks that were easy, but I would forget to do it on the weeks that were hard. And the point of consistency is to be able to do the thing on the hard weeks, not the easy weeks. That's the easy part. And of course, we all want to be accountable to our word. Again, it was good in theory, not in practice. Sometime last year, this news broke that Elon Musk would send this email to all the government employees. He would tell the government employees essentially, what did you get done this week? Like, send me an email reply saying exactly what you get done this week. So this got me thinking, imagine if I had somebody whose entire job was to ask me what I did every single week and keep me accountable. Would that change my behaviors? What would happen if somebody asked me to write my goals for the next week, and at the end of the week, they actually checked in and see if those goals were actually done? Like, would that actually change my behavior? So not some AI bullshit, right? An actual flesh and blood human being would literally look at my goals for the week and at the end of the week see if those goals were met or not. Like, would that actually change behavior? And actually it did. I was finally able to break away from this cycle of I need to lock in, lock in. Because locking in doesn't come from desire, hype, or motivation. All of those things will fade. It comes from a system of accountability. And what I did is I took that very system and I rolled it out to 100+ guys just to see what happens. One of the first things we did was to create a public deadline tool. So everybody in my community who has a deadline to hit, they would put that into a community dashboard. So my team literally tracks and DMs members if they miss a deadline. So this is no longer a self-imposed deadline that you do in private. This becomes a public deadline, which is tracked by a professional. So yeah, we'll literally hold you accountable to your deadlines. The second thing we did was to incorporate Elon Musk's idea of asking every single week, what did you get done this week? What will you get done next week? And then the next week, we actually check in to make sure those things were done. So yeah, literally we hold you accountable to your weekly goals. So it's hard to fall off this habit when somebody's entire job is to track you and keep you accountable. So coming back to our tier list, well, we can take this what did you get done this week and put that as D tier, because if you do it by yourself, you're not going to be consistent with it 9 times out of 10. But if you do it with us, and if you have a professional accountability team looking after your stuff, then these become S tier. And with that, let's do some more tools. So this is an extension, it's called Unhook, and it actually makes YouTube useful again. So check this out, I'm just gonna go to YouTube. Here's what happens. Immediately, I'm redirected to the subscription feed. How is this possible? It's because of that extension. You can see how it says redirect to subscriptions. The YouTube main page is designed like $1 million+, probably 10 million, probably $100 million plus have been spent on making the YouTube homepage as addictive and distracting as possible. That's how they run their business model essentially. So why would you go to that page? The unhook extension also blocks your video sidebar. So you know when you're watching a video, you have like 10 different distracting other videos on the side, and you also scroll down to go to the comment section because you need the dopamine for going there. Well, all that shit gets blocked out. So YouTube becomes a genuine education platform by using this extension. The second tool I want to talk about is called Cold Turkey. And this is an app and website blocker. So if you find yourself, scrolling on a website that you really shouldn't be on, and you all know what I'm talking about, then this is the tool for you. And it's very hard to remove the software. Trust me, I've tried. This company has been around for the past like 10 years plus. I used to use this in college like many years ago. Third tool, it's called Brick. It's literally this little hockey puck looking thing which I have in my hand. What this does is it acts as the same as Cold Turkey, but it's for your phone. So how you use this is you take this brick and you tap your phone on this, and it will literally block all the distracting apps. Usually this has a magnet on it. So I'll magnetize it and stick it to the fridge. And I do most of my work here in this open area. So if I want to access any of the distracting apps, I literally have to go up the elevator back to my home and touch my phone to this device in order to get the distracting apps. Obviously that's too much friction, and so I don't use these distracting apps. So let's rate these. Let's see where these go. I will say that Unhook actually will be S tier for me because it allows me to unlock the bounty of YouTube. Cold Turkey as well, I will say is S tier. Brick for me is a strong A tier. I don't think I need it as much because I just uninstall the apps. But I think for sure earlier in my career, Brick would have been a solid S tier because half my time was spent scrolling on bullshit on my phone. So how do things like the Brick fall into the dopamine slope? Well, I'm glad you asked. Every time you have to make some kind of decision to avoid a distraction, well, that saps some amount of dopamine. So if you're on YouTube for work, you're doing some research which is actually conducive to your education in some way, but you have to say no to all these open videos, all the comments which are distracting you, then each of those little decisions are going to cause decision fatigue. In other words, they're going to release energy from that spring, which is what you don't want. So all these anti-distraction devices act as a brake on this car to prevent it from sliding downhill so it can remain in this area and not this area. Next, I want to talk about a very powerful topic. It's called the identity hour. The first hour of your day is called the identity hour because it informs the identity of the rest of your day and in some sense, the rest of your life. So when you wake up in the morning, what do? Do you load dopamine or do you deplete dopamine? That single question literally determines how your day goes. One of the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is to get some sunlight. You probably already heard of this, so I won't beat this too much. Direct sunlight will cause your dopamine to be loaded. Not just this, but it has two more benefits. The first benefit is that it purges adenosine from your brain. So when you're first waking up in the morning, you have some adenosine still built up in the brain. Adenosine is a sleep molecule. It causes you to be tired or drowsy or sleepy. When you see the sun, the brain's like, okay, it's daytime now, and just purges the adenosine. On top of this, every single cell in your body has a kind of a clock in it to understand what the time is. And with time, all these mini clocks in the entire body gets out of sync. When you get sunlight in the morning, all the clocks in your body are like, okay, it's morning time, and they reset and reorient and essentially get recalibrated. This is what resets your circadian rhythm. And so for all these reasons, getting some sunlight in the morning is an easy S tier, unquestionably so. After I get some sunlight, I stare at the wall for 10 minutes. We already discussed this. Then I will have a drink of bone broth or any kind of electrolyte drink. If you sleep for 8 hours, that is 8 hours where you didn't have any kind of water consumption. And it is when you sleep that your body is getting rid of waste products. So in the morning, you're kind of dehydrated. So I will highly recommend trying bone broth in the morning. It obviously has a lot of electrolytes, but not just this, it has the amino acids. Bone broth is one of the most anabolic things that you can have, so highly recommend. Next thing is taking a shower, obviously for the hygiene reasons, but not just that. It's also a thermal reset. If you like sleeping under covers like I do, you build up a lot of body heat. So a shower, and it doesn't have to be a cold shower, will act as a reset and get your circulation back where it needs to be. You'll notice that all the activities described so far are all mechanisms to load that dopamine spring. I have an abbreviation which I use to memorize this, which is S for sunlight, M for meditation, though it's not meditation, it's more like wall staring, E for electrolytes, and S for shower. I call it SMES. Sunlight, meditation, electrolytes, and shower. SMES. And this is the minimalist morning routine that I follow. It doesn't take me a lot of time. I can knock out all these activities in less than 30 minutes. And that's what the identity hour is about. It's about doing these activities which load dopamine, and then you free up the rest 30 minutes of the identity hour to attack the most challenging tasks that you have for the day. So you get to work as fast as you can once these activities are done. And this is because your dopamine spring is at its max capacity, it's compressed to the max. And if we go back to the analogy of the wind-up car, when it first starts, that's when it has the most horsepower. So you literally hit the most challenging work with an absolute sledgehammer and hammer away at it until it gives way. So there we go, boys. This is the identity hour. It is sunlight, meditation, electrolytes, and shower. SMES. I'll take this entire thing, I'll move that into S tier. And if you're thinking, wow, there's so many S tiers, what about the C tiers and D tiers? The thing is, what would be the point of discussing the dog shit tactics which doesn't work? The point of this video is to give you the tools which actually do work. And that's why you're going to see a preponderance of the S tiers. Because if something is not S tier or A tier, why the fuck are we talking about it? Now let's talk about some gadgets and techniques that we can use, starting with the Pomodoro technique. I personally do not like the Pomodoro technique. The idea of the Pomodoro technique is basically you work for 25 minutes, you take a 10-minute break, work for 25 minutes, take a 10-minute break, and you keep oscillating. And the idea is basically you work and then you need some rest to kind of recharge. You work again, rest. I didn't like it because when I start working, I'm already in anticipation of the break. I'm already thinking of the break. So I'm not even able to kind of lock in because it's like the alarm is going to ring in a few minutes anyway. It's like, why the fuck am I locking in? I'm going to stop working and I'm going to get my break. And when the break starts, I'm in anticipation of the next work block. So I can't really even relax because I'm like, man, like what's even the point of this break? I'm going to have to go back to work in like 5 minutes. So neither the break works, neither the work session works. And I think the basic framing of the Pomodoro technique is wrong. I think it basically sets you up as thinking the work is bad and you need breaks to get away from it. And the worst part of the Pomodoro technique is that the bloody timer is in control of your pacing, not you. And that's why I stopped using the Pomodoro technique. Instead, I have this. And this, my friends, is something really special. So a Pomodoro technique is based on a timer. A timer is a device which counts down from a given time. So you set 25 minutes and it counts down from 25 minutes to 0 and then it goes off at 0, right? But a stopwatch is a completely different device with a different mechanism. A stopwatch starts at 0 and goes up to whatever number you need it to go up to. And you might look at this and think, well, that's not a big difference, but it is absolutely a big difference. So how does this work? Well, here's the rules. When you sit down to work, you hit go. And what happens is the pointer starts to move forward. This is your score of focus. So you set this down and you get to work. You do whatever it is that you need to do. At some point, you'll feel some kind of distraction for sure, right? Or you might just have to get up to go to the bathroom or some other kind of thing. When that happens, you look at your timer and see what score you got. And then you hit pause because you have stopped working. And then you take your break, your stopwatch is not running, and when you're ready to get back to work, you will restart your stopwatch. So your stopwatch is an accurate indicator of how much work you did, not how much time passed. The Pomodoro technique measures how much time passed. The stopwatch measures how much work you did. And here's the beautiful thing about this. You're literally going to be able to see your score improve. When you first start this technique, you're going to be able to focus for maybe a few minutes at a time. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes. But once you start using this technique on the regular, you start using it consistently, what's going to happen is you're going to realize how much you're actually capable of. You're going to see numbers in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s. You're like, holy shit, I actually focused on one thing at a time for 40 minutes straight and I didn't look up. Like that is when the big unlocks happen. If you think about it, there's a reason why stopwatches are used in sports all the time. You're literally training as an endurance athlete, as a performance athlete, except it's not for your physical body, but it's for your mind. This is one of the strongest and most powerful techniques I can give you. This is an easy S tier. I've actually made a separate video talking about this specifically. So if you want further instruction on this, I will put it in the pinned comment below. And you're probably wondering, like, what the hell, why do I have this rope around this? So what I'll do is I will literally put this on my wrist. I'll do this kind of thing. So it stays on my wrist. So it becomes top of mind. So I'm never able to distract myself. Like I genuinely treat myself as an athlete when it comes to my focus. I train this like an athlete. I travel with this thing. This thing is my best friend when it comes to productivity. But this raises a question. When you do take a break, well, what do you do with that time? So most people, of course, they go on their phone during their break. But this is a stupid mistake. Why? Because let's say you're working on your computer and then on your break, you're on your phone. As far as the brain is concerned, it's just more of the same. When you're working on your computer, it's information processing. When you're on your phone getting distracted, it's also information processing. It's the same neurons firing, so they don't actually get the break that they need. So what you need to do is to engage different neurons. And that is where hand-eye coordination becomes important. So when you're on your breaks, what you do is don't get on your phones, don't get on your screens. Instead, take something physical and play a game. This can be quite entertaining and it can be quite fun. So what I do is I literally have a tennis ball and I'll bounce it on the wall and kind of play catch. You know what I mean? And you probably just saw it right now. Like it's hard for me to talk on the camera as well as play tennis because these are different parts of my neurons both trying to fire at the same time. So engaging my hand-eye coordination neurons literally takes me away from my like speech neurons. And that's kind of the point. Like if I wanted to break from recording, then I would be doing something like this. And this is a tennis ball. I've been using also a golf ball. You can also use a rubber bouncy ball. Any kind of hand-eye coordination task will set your brain free to relax. And there's some other options here too. You can play darts, or you can play card flicks. So you can literally take like a playing card and you can flick it on a cardboard thing. It'll be the same thing as playing darts except with cards. You can also get a yo-yo. You can also get a paddle ball. You know those bats which have a ball attached with a string and you can kind of do this? Any of those hand-eye coordination tasks will act as a break, which is better than your phone. And now let's talk about a special and interesting one. This is going for a leisurely walk. I do this almost every other day. So like think about how this video came to be, right? There's many topics in this video and many ideas being discussed. And that's why I go on these leisurely walks, because it is on these walks that the download actually happens. If you've been watching this video so far, I hope that you found that it was somewhat creative. But do you think that it's me who's creating this stuff? Obviously not. I'm just getting the download, and the downloads only happen when you're outside, when you're walking. And the trick with this is that I walk the same exact path every single day. So there's really no novelty. It's the same buildings, the same homeless folk, it's the same trees. So it's a perfect balance between being aware, because you have to be aware of your surroundings. But it's also not a brand new location where you're learning new information all the time. Every single video that I've ever made on this channel has been a result of a leisurely walk. Every single business decision which is actually good I've ever made has come from a leisurely walk. I think it was Nietzsche who said that any idea that you didn't get when you're outside should be distrusted. So I literally take a pen and a piece of paper like an index card with me when I walk, and I write down my ideas, and when I come back I know exactly what needs to be done. So going on a leisurely walk is an easy S tier for me. But I'm going to give you another one which is also an S tier, which is meeting with people who have similar goals as you. I spent an entire 2 weeks in Texas. I got an Airbnb and had channel subscribers with me for the entire 2 weeks. By being in this growth house, there's members who have doubled their income. Being in company with guys who are of a similar age and have the same goals can be an absolute unlock for you. You just don't know what you don't know. You meet expertise which you didn't have. And as a direct result of some of the conversations that we had at this event, some of the guys have built businesses which make them $20,000 per month or more. So I'm a huge supporter of in-person events. I want to do more of them. And that is what I'm going to do when I hit 100,000 subscribers. So get me to 100,000 subscribers, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a world tour. I'm going to do a full one-day event for subscribers free at multiple locations, many major cities across the globe. And yes, it's going to be absolutely free. All you got to do is to get me to 100,000 subscribers, and what I will do is to come to a city near you and give you these full one-day workshops for free. So hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing and could unlock something really special for you. So let's see. Pomodoro technique, D tier. Stopwatch, S tier. Tennis ball, S tier. Leisurely walking, S tier. What's this? What's this? This is a special one. I've been wanting to talk about this for some time. The topic here is listening to music as you work. For the longest time, I couldn't listen to music when I worked because it was so distracting. I'll just listen to the lyrics or be pulled away by the music, and I just cannot focus. But then I discovered the Mechanicus soundtrack. So there's this video game, it's called Mechanicus, and it has this soundtrack which is so special. It is a modern and electric music. It is a synthetic music, but it sounds orchestral. It has pipe organs. It is a blend of medieval sounding music plus modern synth. It's a remarkable soundtrack. There's really nothing like it. And the total length of the soundtrack is like an hour long, so it's perfect. So I start the soundtrack, and for the next 1 hour, I'm absolutely locked in. If you haven't listened to the Mechanicus soundtrack when you work, try it. Just listen to it as you work. You won't be disappointed. And the question is, what should you listen to it on? So I use wired headphones because I don't want to blast my brain with EMFs. So here's the rule that I have is if I'm in the gym, I'm moving actively, I'm okay with using Bluetooth because I'm in the gym for maximum 60 minutes, right? So I'm okay with taking the risks there. But work sessions can be, 8 hours per day. I'm not okay with exposing my brain to EMFs for 8 hours straight. And the cool part is these headphones cost like $9. They're super cheap, but they're really good quality. Listening to this music on these headphones makes me feel like some kind of tech priest, researching some ancient manuscript, creating some archaeotechnology. I just love this thing. Couldn't recommend this enough. So for that reason, Mechanicus soundtrack and the headphones go into S tier for me. Now let's talk about some of these stimulants. The first stimulant we want to talk about is the White Monster, which I just finished the entire thing. I love White Monster. I like the taste of it. So do I use energy drinks on a regular basis? No, I don't, but I will use them here and there. So obviously I'm not trying to get microplastics in my balls. All cans have a BPA liner inside it, so I'm not really a fan. So I'll much rather stick with just regular coffee. Has the same caffeine, works, does the job. Now let's talk about nicotine. So I have been trying nicotine specifically for this video actually. Got nicotine for the first time a couple of weeks ago. This is called Lucy. It's kind of a relatively healthier option for nicotine gum. I don't use dip. The mechanism of action between a nicotine gum is actually different from a dip. Or you know what I'm talking about, like the Zins, right? I've used Zins before, especially on a late night training mission in the army. It's just hard to stay awake, 2 days in a row if you don't have a Zin. If you've never had nicotine before, this is how it feels like. If you have nicotine, everything like kind of lights up. Your eyes kind of open more, there's more light coming in, and you feel more awake. Like that's the action of nicotine. And by the way, if you're below the age of 18, obviously don't try this. So what's my recommendation? Should you try nicotine or not? Well, I don't want to tell you what to do. All I'll say is I have had good experience with Lucy so far. So I have 2 more of these things. I'm going to finish it out. Will I buy more Lucy or not? I don't know. So obviously I don't want to create an addiction when I didn't have one before, and I don't want to create a dependency. And for that reason, I'm going to give you a second alternative. You've probably heard of mastic gum. It's like this mewing thing. Like if you chew mastic gum, it creates like a stronger jawline. But the funny thing is, mastic gum is low-key a productivity device. How is that possible? So if you had mastic gum before, you'll know that it suppresses appetite. And it also kind of feels engaging to chew on something when you're working. And the best part is you can stack this. You can have a coffee, you can start your timer, you can start your music, the Mechanicus soundtrack, and you can get a mastic gum in your mouth, start to chew it, and suddenly the work doesn't even feel like work anymore. So what do the stimulants actually do? What the stimulants do is that they take the work and then make it feel more like play, which means that it's easier to go downhill and do the work. And now we're getting to something that's really interesting, because I have this question. What is the logical extreme of the dopamine spring? It's the self-loading spring. Imagine if you could work and doing the work in itself loaded dopamine. What happens when dopamine replenishment offsets dopamine depletion? You have the infinite productivity glitch. In other words, the closer you can get work and play, the easier it is to do a lot of work. Now I'm going to give you some more advanced concepts. So why does anti-stim week work? So if you don't know what the hell anti-stim week is, it's like an internal ritual that my community has. Every couple months we'll do an anti-stim week, like an entire week with zero stimulation, or as close to zero stimulation as we can possibly get. And also, why does retention work? So why does semen retention work? They work both on the same principle. What they do is they take the entire curve and move it upwards. So this is a baseline increase in dopamine. That's why a couple of years ago, a lot of people made videos talking about the superpowers that semen retention gives. It's not superpowers. It's just an increase in baseline dopamine. So creatine is different from the stimulant, because obviously creatine is not a stimulant. Like who has ever had creatine and gotten a buzz out of it? Obviously not. So if you ever had creatine, here's what you'll notice. The first day, nothing happens. Second day, nothing happens. In fact, you never feel the progress of creatine because the strength boost that creatine gives in the gym is very gradual and very slow. But as soon as you get off of creatine because you're traveling or something, you'll feel the difference when you go to the gym. So creatine increases baseline work capacity in the gym. That's how it works. But also, and this is not known to a lot of people, is creatine increases baseline capacity of the brain. In fact, there's more research on creatine's effect on neurons than creatine's effect on muscle fibers. So if you want a baseline improvement in mental performance, creatine is what you should have. So let's start to put these into the tier list. I will say monsters are a B tier, coffee is an A tier, Lucy's are kind of a A and B mix. I will say A tier for now. Nuotonic or the Jocko drink, I will say is A tier. Creatine, I will say is S tier. And let's see, the mastic gum as well, I will say is S tier because it does not create any dependencies and it's very engaging to chew as you work. I'll say that nutrition and what you eat is a massive part of productivity, which nobody really talks about. In my experience, one of the best things that you can eat in the morning for productivity is the honey cado. And if you like avocados and if you like honey, try combining the two. It tastes so good, and there's something about it. I don't even know what it is. It just makes you so focused and so determined to work. The best focus happens when hunger and satiety are perfectly balanced. So if you're proper hungry and you're all thinking about food, well, you're thinking about food, you're not being productive. But if you're satisfied completely and you're full, well, you're feeling lazy and tired, not exactly productive. But when hunger and satiety are perfectly balanced, that is when your mental focus is at its maximum. So how do you eat for mental focus? The answer is you eat fruits. Specifically, pineapples, grapes, or any fruit which contains a lot of moisture seems to work great. For the first 6 hours of my day, I eat only fruits. I get all my important work done during the first 6 hours. I eat only fruits, and after lunch, I do the less important tasks. So I'll say honey cado and fruits are a solid S tier for me. And let's go. The last one is this idea of the flow state. And in my view, flow state is kind of a cope. So let me explain what I mean by this. The idea of the flow state is I will work less and get more done. Like that's why the message of flow state is so easy to sell. You're basically saying do less and get more. So obviously a lot of people buy it. But the hardcore truth is that's not how it works. You still have to put in the same hours. And the cope that a lot of people will tell themselves is if I create the perfect conditions according to the tenets of the flow state, then the work will feel easy, not hard. But the truth is the conditions will never be perfect, and so the work will always feel kind of hard. And I think the biggest problem with the flow state is that if you don't hit the flow state, you feel like you're failing, you're doing something wrong. So when you have this idea of why doesn't this feel fun? It's probably not my calling. It's because of a false expectation. Flow state is a false expectation for beginners and intermediates at any field. So nowadays, I don't really give a shit about flow state. All I care about is getting the work done. Sometimes I'll go into a flow state, sometimes I won't, and it doesn't really matter. What matters is making small progress every single day. The last item we're going to discuss today is maintaining a clean and tidy workspace. I used to think that having a clean workspace was an essential part of productivity. I don't think so anymore. Back in the day, I used to follow Ali Abdaal. He's like a productivity YouTuber. And the thing is, I thought that productivity needed to look like this. I'm not trying to dunk on Ali Abdaal. He's obviously a successful guy. He's influential, he's wealthy, he has a successful business. There's many things which are good about Ali Abdaal. But like, look at the guy. His branding isn't good. He looks scrawny, he looks weak, it looks like a 14-year-old could beat him up. So I thought that, well, productivity, that's what it looks like. But it doesn't have to look like this. I want to talk about muscular productivity. Productivity as a concept gets a bad brand because, well, when we think about productivity, think about like HR managers or some kind of supervisors, making sure that you're doing your tasks for the big corporations. I don't see it like this. I see productivity as an essential part of being a man. And the reason why you want to be productive, even if you're doing a job that you don't really care about, is not because of the job itself, but rather it's about you. It's about building up yourself as an asset. So that's why I want to talk about muscular productivity. And speaking about the tidy desks, this is Einstein's desk. Look at this. It's a complete disaster. So many papers and stuff strewn about. So when somebody asked Einstein about his desk, he said, if a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind, of what then is a empty desk a sign? So here's my take. Gotta stay organized, but don't make tidying up an excuse to not do the thing. And you can tell when you're coping. So with that, boys, let's remind ourselves of why this is important. We all want the same things. Our goals aren't special, but our results can be. Retiring your parents, and if you have kids, being able to provide opportunities for them, being able to afford healthcare when you need it, building a legacy. All of this comes down to your productivity. So if you're stuck in this endless loop of I need to lock in without actually taking the actions that you know are conducive to your success, then you need to listen to me right now. We have the tools to hold you accountable to your deadlines. We have the tools to hold you to your weekly goals. We have the tools to guide you on time management. We will keep you on track with your sleep, your nutrition, your exercise, and even your blood work. This is our job. We do it all the time. You know that uncommon outcomes require uncommon actions. This is literally an uncommon action that you can choose to do right now. At the time of recording, I'm doing one-on-one calls with literally every single member who joins to make sure that your strategy, your personal strategy, is conducive to your long-term success and your goals as you see it. All you need to do right now is to click the link in the description below just to see if this is for you. Think about this. You don't have that much time. If you're in your 20s and 30s, you'll just click your fingers and before you know it, you're 50. So you do not have the time to be stuck in an endless loop of I need to lock in. You do not have time for that shit. If you want to change your outputs, you need to change your input. And with that, boys, let me close out by saying, if you want to win, you must lean in.